The recording has started. Madhumita, please mute yourself.
I'm here. Hi.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, please continue.
I can't see the questions. She didn't send me the questions up to date.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, I have saved it. You have to give me a minute. I'll read it out to you.
Yeah, please do. I have few questions already. I can probably start with them, Devshri, and then you can copy paste the other, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So I have this one question from Amika, which says, what is the structure that I should follow? Like I worked with an NGO, so after this, where should I apply? See, guys, I feel that if you want to apply to any place, there's no fixed like timeline that you should work here and then you should work there. You can definitely, what I feel can do is you can start with lower courts, because district courts there is a maximum learning. You won't learn much at Supreme Court or even for that matter High Court, but district courts are really helpful. So in your initial years, like say first and second year, you should focus on NGOs as well as trial court internships, because they will help you learn and they will expose you to better places as well. Same happens with corporate internships, because the kind of work that they give you is mostly like photocopying or research on some very basic section, or to probably sometimes get coffee as well. So I'm sure you would not like it. So it's always better to work at the very basic level, which is your trial court internships. There are a lot of good lawyers who are genuinely interested in making you learn. So when I was in my first year, I interned with this one lady lawyer in Patiala House Court. And in my very first internship, she actually taught me how to draft notices, how to draft petitions. I remember I had drafted a proper petition, like a divorce petition for her in my first year, like first semester, like once the first semester gets over and you have to intern. She taught me how to draft a petition, which I did, and that actually got admitted in one of the trial courts. So it's always very helpful to work with these trial court lawyers, because they help you, learn, because they don't have many people. They actually need support from, from their interns. So it's always better. And if at all you want to get to know the names of these couple of lawyers that I worked with, because trust me, I learned a lot with them, then you can definitely get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and I would love to help you. And you should definitely reach out to these some of these lawyers, because they're very nice. They teach you what should be taught to a first year lawyer. So that's a great exposure, right? The next one is, how can we get in touch with the organization or any other platforms for internships? See, it depends. Like I said, there are a lot of NGOs. Let's start with NGOs who are open to receiving applications from their website itself. So every NGO has like a website which would have like a form. If you're interested in volunteering or interning, then you should just fill the form. They would ask you something basic. You can do that. They have email IDs. Now, each and every organization that you're looking at, they would have a lot of email IDs. Just keep on sending your CVs to these email IDs. Even for jobs, this works the best, because obviously it takes time to make contacts. So start with something very basic, which is to send emails to these organizations. They have emails everywhere, so you can definitely go for that. Else, if it's feasible for you, go to the courts, go to the district courts. Anyone can enter district courts. It's not at all an issue. Go and see how it happens. Nobody is going to stop you from entering a courtroom. Go sit in the courtroom, see what is being happening with what is happening. You will see some lawyers. You will obviously like those lawyers, as to how good or bad they were. You can directly go and talk to their juniors. This is the best thing about trial court internships, that people are very very open to taking interns. They might not pay you, which is okay. Like, to be very honest, of 11 internships, only 2 of my internships were paid. Rest all were unpaid. So I understand that it might be difficult for some, but this is the cause that we have to sort of, give to get some experience. And experience in our field is very, very important. You can't let go of that, right? So this is something that you can do. Next is, if you could please guide us about the trial court internship. See, there's not much to guide, to be honest. You see which lawyer you want to work with. Obviously, you will not know all the names. Go to the courts. Trust me, go to the courts. Sit, see what they are doing. Okay, make friends in law school, because trust me, a lot of their parents would be lawyers. They would know someone, so they will probably get you in touch with someone or the other. And then that is how you have to go out and take the first step. If you feel that someone would come and give you an internship, that's not how it's done. Nobody is going to give you anything served on a silver platter. It has never happened. It will not happen even now for any one of us. It didn't happen for me. It's probably not happening for a lot of us right now. So that is okay. Please don't be disheartened. There would be times, and I trust me when I say this, there would be times when your batchmates would have secured really fancy internships. Like first year people are interning in Amar Chand, first year people are interning with senior advocates. But trust me, they don't learn anything at all. I have seen it, they don't learn. Have a proper plan for yourself that this is what I want to do here, this is what I want to do there. And do not think that any internship is small or big. It is never the case. So do not think too much into it. Trial court internships are not very hard to find. I think they're the most basic ones. You can reach out to a lot of trial court lawyers on LinkedIn, even on Facebook. You can try sending them requests. If they accept, well and good. Don't send them messages otherwise. You can go to the court, you can reach out to people like us. And please, I'm telling you people again, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to give you the contact details of some of the lawyers that I know. Else, you can definitely get in touch with your seniors, because your seniors would have a lot of exposure. Seniors who have passed out would be able to help a lot, because they're probably working in trial courts. So they would, if they take you as interns, that's also very, very beneficial, because they will teach you what it's like. It's very important. Anyone who's aspiring to be a litigant, like to be a litigating lawyer, that I feel it's very important to understand the basics of how a court works. And it's not as simple as it looks, and it's definitely not how courts work. So always keep in mind that it's going to be difficult, but there's always a starting point, right? Now it says how to approach senior advocates or internships. What can be the ways to get in touch with them? See, a lot of internship senior advocates, like you have Indra Jaising, you have Kapil Sibal, you have your Salman Khurshid. These people, they have their email IDs which are given online, and their associates handle these email IDs. You can write to them and they will get back to you in regard to the internship. That is what I did in terms of Salman Khurshid, right? So you can mail them, but I personally would suggest all these senior advocates, they function in the Supreme Court, and some of them, they still go to the High Court. Now, on one hand, where it's a very good addition to your CV, like it adds a lot of value, but you cannot forget that you won't learn a lot in these internships, because they have huge teams. Unless you work with someone like Brinda Grover ma'am, who is like, who just has like 2 junior associates, so you can still get a lot of work. Same as with Rebecca John ma'am. So these people have smaller teams, so interns get a lot of work. But on the other hand, people like Kapil Sibal or Salman Khurshid sir and all these people, they have huge teams. They don't need interns, to be honest, because they have like at least 20 associates. So I feel that it's always good to start with the smaller advocate and then move on to these bigger advocates, because that is what is going to help. But yeah, this is the way to go about it. You can type on LinkedIn like their names. You would see people who work, like who work with these senior advocates, like some of the associates. You can get in touch with them, and that would be also helpful, right? Next we have, how should one proceed to procure an internship at a tier 1 firm? Jasmine, I had mentioned this initially also, that see, getting an internship at a tier 1 firm is a very difficult task, because usually, and this is something that I've seen from my own personal experience, they take people who are they take people who have like some contact in these firms. They don't take interns very easily, and because so many CVs are being sent to these firms every month, they don't even check these CVs. And I have seen this on my own. So I would suggest that you get in touch with someone if you really want to do it, which I can understand. You get in touch with someone who can help you in getting an internship, like someone who's working as an associate or a senior associate in one of these firms. And the best way to get in touch with these people are LinkedIn. Trust me, guys, all the other social media, people won't respond to you. It's just LinkedIn where it's okay for law students to even get in touch with professionals. So please use this, as much as you can. And otherwise, you can see if any of your batchmate or of any one of your seniors work in these law firms, because a lot of our seniors after they graduate they get placed at all these firms. So if they can get you in touch with someone, it's great. Get in touch with your professors. The professors uh, the professors are obviously very helpful because they have a lot of friends in all these law firms. So again, it's something that you can approach. So try to tap in your own resources, like your professors, your seniors from law school, your LinkedIn contacts. These are very important people because you can't break this chain. Like you can't think of directly talking to a partner on LinkedIn and getting an internship because they won't offer you an internship. That won't happen. So please start small, take small steps, and that would really help you in the longer run, right? Just a second.
Ma'am, shall I read it to you, or like you are
I
comfortable?
select because I think we have a lot of questions. So you select and let me know, and I would answer.
Okay. Atin, are you doing it or should I?
All right, Devshri, you can read out the question.
Okay. Good evening, ma'am. I am currently interning at a very grassroots level NGO. Given the COVID situation and the lockdown, how do I make the online internship truly fruitful?
Yeah, so even in our organization where I'm working, we have offered like online internships to a lot of people. See, the best way to go about it is do all the tasks that is being given to you. That's very, very important because see, you can't get in touch with people directly. So the only thing that you possibly can do is do what they have asked you to do because you're able to do it, very nicely then, like, and ask for more work. Like if you feel you don't have enough work, then what you can do is you ask them for work, you try to write to people about something. If you feel there's not enough work, then you can even do something on the side, like attend, there's so many courses. I know Harvard Law School has taken out some 60 odd courses free of cost for students to attend. So you can join one of these courses if you feel that these grassroots level NGOs, they require field work. So when I joined the research fellowship, I faced a similar situation because most of my work was like field work. I had to go to different parts of Haryana and work there. But because of this lockdown, I couldn't. So I asked them to involve me in different projects where I can help them and I can start working full time. So this is what I did. You have to ask for work. You have to be active, like you have to be proactive and ask them for whatever that they can possibly involve you in, because once that happens, they'll also understand that you're really interested and they will give you more work and they'll start trusting you. So that is one of the key things to do if you're trying to like sort of make the best of your virtual internship.
Some firms don't take interns from the students who are not from NLU. How to cope up with this?
It will happen a lot, and I don't want to take names of which these firms are, because I think all of us know that there are a couple of firms which are clearly discriminatory. Like they even pay you lesser. Like imagine you're just talking about internships. There are firms which don't even take, which pays a non-NLU student much lesser in comparison to an NLU student. So, but don't I feel that there are a lot more firms which are which believe in this equality of NLU and non-NLU students. You don't have to worry about it. If one firm refuses, trust me, there would be two more who would be more than happy to take a student who's actually hardworking than someone who's from an NLU. Trust me, I have seen NLU students. I have had NLU students as my interns, and they don't work much. Like to say someone that they get credibility because they are from an NLU is the wrong thing to say. So do not think that if not from an NLU, you won't get opportunity. That's a complete That's complete nonsense. I am from a non-NLU. Trust me, I've gotten enough opportunities in my life. It's just that you have to work very hard for it. Nothing will come easy, and it will become even difficult because you're not from an NLU, and the society is such that they give preference to NLU students more. But trust me, once you start making your impact, nothing is going to be difficult. You just have to work very hard towards it. It's going to, take your ego and your self respect down at times, but then it's going to be okay. Like, such things would happen. You should be mentally prepared for it. Do not let it impact you a lot, because then it's not good for your mental health. And trust me, nothing is worth, getting your mental health messed up. So it's always better to let it be and try to work in some other organization. You can work in some, maybe like, see, there must be like some 10 tier 1 firms. If 1 or 2 doesn't accept, there's still 8 that will probably accept you for your CV and for the kind of person that you are. So don't worry about it.
Even I have a question, ma'am. Ki if you want to go in litigation, so one should go from trial court to high court, then Supreme Court, or one can approach directly to Supreme Court for internships.
See, you can do, but like I said, you won't learn. Like this is something I have experienced because I've done both these internships. Trust me, you won't learn. And even if you want to go to Supreme Court, that's fine because it looks good on your CV and everything else. But what is your motive? Do you want to learn, or do you want to just do an internship for the sake of it? See, we all have 5 years, 3 years in some cases, but 5 years is a very long time to do all of this. Imagine I did my Salman Khurshid internship in my 4th year, and I did my Patiala House internship in my 1st year. I can still say that as a 1st year student, I worked way more in comparison to my 4th year Supreme Court advocate internship. They have a lot of work, but their work is so sensitive that they don't give it to the interns. So is it even worth just going in the office? If there's obviously the names of Supreme Court advocates, it counts. But my point is, you can always do it later on. Start with something smaller so that at least you can learn. It's so important to start learning from the very young stage, because see, we all learn important things like constitution, IPC, CRPC, evidence, all such things when you're in like 2nd year or 3rd year. So at that time, when it's good to go to the trial court, because you learn the entire procedure there. Everything happens there, right? That only PILs and appeals and all these things go to the Supreme Court and the High Court. You don't get to see the entire case. So if you really want to be
Ma'am's network are weak. Adin,
Ma'am, are you there?
ma'am, Joshika ma'am. She is joining again.
What was the last question you read, Devshri?
Um, Wait, I have to unmute ma'am first. Wait. Yeah,
hello.
yeah, hello ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I was saying that it's always better to like sort of start with the smaller interns, like with lower courts, and like not those fancy internships, because when you're young, it's always better to learn. Otherwise, it's very difficult. While you're learning all these important subjects is when you're going to learn how to you'll see how these cases actually take shape. So trial courts are the best place to actually learn all this. So I would suggest that you should actually approach trial courts first and then probably go to High Court or Supreme Court, because you can always get the Supreme Court the Supreme Court experience. You don't have to really work. You don't really have to like worry about it. So probably do it in your 4th year, 5th year to see how it's like. But in your initial year, start with something small is what my suggestion is.
Will any internship in my grade school help me in my 3 years law school? Ma'am, am I audible?
Hello?
Am I audible, ma'am? Joshika ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, you have a bit network issue. Can you just move somewhere that where the networks are good?
Read out the question again, Devshri.
Okay. Will any internship in my grade school help me in my 3-year law school?
Hello.
Joshika ma'am?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. I think there's something wrong with my connection only. But please carry on. What you're saying?
Will any internship in my grade school help me in my 3-year law school? This is a question from Kritika.
Yeah, definitely. See, in your whatever internship. Yeah, so she's asking if her internship, like in the 3-year program, would it help? Any internship would help, right? Is this what she's asking?
She's asking, she's right now in a grade school and she wants to join law school this coming semester.
Okay.
So is she
Yeah.
asking, will it help her to do internship now that will help her in her law school?
Yeah, definitely. See, I personally feel that any internship or any work experience that you have, it definitely helps because it will be like a value addition to your CV, and when that CV is being seen by, you say, a potential employer or someone who's going to give you an internship, that person is going to see that even while you were in a different school, you did get some exposure, because any kind of exposure, in all honesty, is extremely important. And this exposure is what shows that to the potential employer, or even for that matter the person who's going to just give you an internship, that yes, this person is someone who has had exposure before. So any kind of exposure is going to take you in the longer run. So don't think that probably because I'm doing something else in my undergraduation, post-graduation law will not help. It definitely will help. So please keep on doing all the internships that you possibly can, because it shows that you are experienced enough and can be taken, because a lot of organizations, especially legal organizations, have this thing where they want people who have had experience. They do not want someone who's not experienced enough. So any experience counts.
Ma'am, I think your video is off.
Uh,
Hello.
yeah.
Hello?
Am I audible? Atin?
So I'm in middle of the session. I'll call you back.
Atin?
Yeah, you're audible.
Joshika ma'am, you are audible. Hello ma'am. Joshika ma'am, we can't hear you.
I'm really sorry, guys. There is some network issues. I can see ma'am, but I can't hear her.
Same. Ma'am, can you please leave and join again?
We'll continue this session for 15 more minutes. And I would like to inform you guys that ma'am did our LLM from SOAS, University of London, and she's on our panel. She's our advisor to our LLM consultancy services. So if you wish to do anything, any law degree from abroad, so you can approach us, and ma'am will guide you how to do LLM and how to make your SOPs, how to make your CV and everything, how to apply for scholarships. So you can let us know if you wish to enroll for this service.
Okay, you can.
What is the status?
Tariq Ahmed has a question. How to contact you guys? So Tariq, you can contact us via mail. That is lawfoxes@gmail.com. You can visit our website as well. And you can contact us via WhatsApp. This is our WhatsApp number. Atin, I can't see, ma'am. Atin?
I got a text from ma'am that she can't join the meeting. I am just having a word with her.
Okay. Maybe she has some network issues. You can write your questions till then in the chat box.
What was the last question Devshri you read?
It was from, I have to say, it was from Kritika.
Kritika. Ma'am, is it compulsory that one has to do an internship? We have a question from Kashish Kulati. Ma'am, is it compulsory that one has to do an internship in an NGO in the first year? Or that they directly start from an internship in trial or district court? It's up to you. If you want to like intern in an NGO or district court,
Where is ma'am?
we prefer like you should go to district court first, and it will help you to gain your knowledge from basics. So you can start from district court. Interning in an NGO will like it will give a good startup to your CV, but you can intern in district court as well. Can I do internship in a high court? And
Kritika has a question.
I can't just think.
Atin, where is ma'am?
Ma'am can't join the session.
Okay. For now, she can try again. And for now, we are going to read out your question and we can let you know if we can help you out with that. Okay. So, Kritika has a question. Do any law firm or court take students who are not from law background? Can I know which firm? I mean, who are not law students? No, Kritika, no.
Just a second.
Law firms don't take non-law students.
Ma'am is unable to join the session. So we'll continue the session. Yeah. What is the next question?
Okay.
Will any internship, ma'am, when I do an internship and an online course will help you. Yes, online course will help you to improve your CVs. So you can join any online courses, any online reputed courses like Vipo is. Ma'am has joined the session.
Yeah, ma'am is joining.
Yeah. So you can join the Vipo courses. It is offering free of cost courses for IPR.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone. There's something majorly wrong with my Wi-Fi, because of which I keep on getting, disconnected from this call. Yeah, so if you can quickly ask me questions, I would love to address them. But if at all my Wi-Fi doesn't work, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to answer all your queries. Atin, if you can ask me questions, because I really don't want to miss out on these questions, and my internet is failing me. So yeah.
Yeah. I am in first year. Can I do internship in High Court under any senior advocate or any other advocate?
See, you can do anything. Like there is no one stopping you from doing something. If you have good contacts and if you think you can get like a good internship with a senior advocate in High Court, or even for that matter in Supreme Court or some fancy tier 1 law firm, that's fine. There's no issue in it. You should go ahead with it. Like this is something
This is not something that I would contest. My only approach that had been towards something like this throughout was to make sure to go step by step. I didn't want to jump into something like, a high court internship with a senior advocate, right away. Because in your first year, you don't even know that much. Like, I remember in my first year, the only law subjects that I had was law of torts and legal methods or something. So with these subjects, you won't understand anything. Your internship should be a way to utilize your theoretical knowledge that you have, that you have gained in your law school, you know, and use it in the practical arena. So if you don't know a lot about what happens, what is IPC or what is constitution, what is CRPC or what is CPC for that matter, you won't understand half of the things going on in the High Court or in the Supreme Court with that advocate. And you just don't want to sit down there and see the faces of judges. I mean, it's great to get that kind of exposure, but is it really worth it when you can't understand anything, or when you don't know the sections or the articles, or you don't know how to go about certain things? Is something that you have to think. But if you have good internships and you can get those good internships, I think that would be great. You should do them. But in my opinion, do them maybe later on. The contacts aren't going anywhere. You're always going to have those contacts. You're always going to just do it when you actually can understand what is going on with the particular case or with that internship. This is what I feel.
We have a question from Pritika. Do any law firm or courts take students who are not from law background? Can I know which firms?
See, I know law firms, they don't take people from non-law backgrounds, because even the kind of articles or the different books or something that they come up with, it's all written by lawyers. So I know, as a matter of fact, that law firms require all law students, but places like, for example, your think tanks, or for that matter NGOs, they are open to taking people from all kinds of backgrounds. So there is no problem as such approaching them if you're not from a legal background. But I would suggest that not to approach, say, like courts, or for that matter firms such as these, because you won't be able to understand or learn anything in such places. I don't think they take students.
Ma'am, I'll move quickly. I'll read it out quickly to you. How can one be an associate of judge in the High Court after becoming an advocate?
Associate judge, as in, like, I didn't get it.
Ma'am, shall I repeat the question?
No, I don't know what is an associate judge. I'm so sorry. Like, pardon my ignorance.
Associate of judge.
Sorry?
So you can join the research as law researcher to the judge if you wish to work with a judge.
Oh, that is not associate judge. No. So basically, that is called clerkship. That is law researchership. So both High Court, the position is called law researcher or law clerk. Both High Court and Supreme Court has this. Supreme Court has an exam. You have to give that exam, and then you are interviewed by the respective judge, and they take you as an intern. They take you as a law researcher. High Court, you just need to know the judge. Now, I did not know any judge. So what I did, I took printouts of my CV, and I went to the High Court and I gave it to the court masters of various judges. And then they must have sent them forward, and I was called to 2 or 3 different interviews. You can't do that with Supreme Court, because Supreme Court, the access is not that easy. Like, you can't go to a Supreme Court you can't go to the Supreme Court and ask the court master to give your CV. That is not how it works. But you can definitely do that in the High Court. And else, if you have contacts, I think that's great, because both Supreme Court judges and High Court judges, they accept. Else, you can reach out to people who have been law researchers in the past. Like, I have been a law researcher in the past. Each judge can have 2 law researchers. So you can get in touch with such people, and they can help you. They can send your CV, and if your CV gets selected, then you do get an internship for 1 month first. And if they like your work, then you get like a contract of 6 months. to become a law researcher, and you can extend it for another 6 months. So I did like a 1 year thing. Everyone usually does a 1 year thing because 6 months is too little time. So yeah, this is how it works.
Praveen, district court is always the better option than anything else. Name of NGOs, list of NGOs is updated on Google. You can check the list. How much time to comment? There is no fixed time for government organizations to reply. It's up to them, like how much time they take to reply to your application. Which one is better, doing LLM in India or abroad?
Okay.
Ma'am.
See, I'll tell you something. Just a second.
Ma'am, we have just 2 minutes left for the session, so please.
Okay. See, NGOs, you can Google or you can get in touch with me. I can tell you the names of the NGOs. Shubham, I would love to help you with this. Government organizations, they usually take a lot of time with the applications because everything's like super slow. So see when is there vacancies, go and see the circulars and the notifications. That would really help you to understand the timeline. It usually takes at least 2 to 3 months for them to get back to you. So you need to have patience, else it won't help because they are very slow in everything. Now about the LLM, if you can afford doing something abroad, that would be great because an LLM from abroad is going to help you in very different ways than from India. I think they have a session on LLM, so you can get in touch with Atin and he can tell you when that session is. Else you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I would love to help you in explaining. I did my LLM from abroad because I wanted to specialize in human rights law, and not a lot of law schools give this specialization in India. So that's why I had to go to London for it. Now, any other question? If you want to go for judiciaries, see, Kanika, I feel even if you want to become a judicial officer, it's always better to do internships because you never know when your interest might change. Judiciary is a different thing altogether, but if you're very clear about it, then I feel from third year onwards, you should start preparing for your judicial services exams like third, fourth, fifth year and just focus on that. But you really need to take a call that whether you want to do it full time or not. So it's good to sort of analyze and take an idea accordingly, right? Is there anything else? Am I missing any question?
I have a question.
Ma'am, now we are going to end the session.
I think someone had a question. Devshri, was that you?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, is it necessary to do internship in firms and not in the courts? Like people say that my resume will be better if I do internship in firm.
No. See, so to be very honest, it depends. If you want to work with a firm later on, then you should definitely work at a firm, like intern at a firm to get an idea how firms work. But I don't think it's important. See, nothing is important. It's all as to what you want to do, how you want to go about things. I did not have a single firm internship. Trust me, I'm doing well in my life. So it's not important to do it just because someone's saying that it's very important, it will make a difference in your CV. It might, but there are a lot of other options that can equally make a good difference in your life. So don't think that it's very important to do it. Do it only if you want to do it, right?
Okay.
We can't take more questions. The session is going to end in 1 minute.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
thank you so much, ma'am, for the lovely session. It was really an informative session. And thank you very much for attending the session.